Hello and welcome back to the ETS Open Week 1 of Season 2. I am TheSkeeJay, joined by, well, no one. I'm stuck by myself for right now as the welcome wagon for your first broadcast seems to be a little bit empty. For round 2, we have a matchup, a couple time mid-range decks. Combray Aggro being played by BashingTwan. He's on the new card Geril, who, as you may or may not know, you can ultimate into essentially double the strength and health of a unit that is holding a weapon. To complement that, we're playing 3 copies of Hammer of Might, 4 copies of Inquisitor's Blade, and he also got a full playset of Venom Rider in his deck as well. The other new card from the new adventure. As PapaCapricorn is on Xenon mid range, he's on a kind of a later game-based version of Xenon mid-range. He's not playing any copies of Arc Interrogator, it looks like, instead opting for 4 copies of In Cold Blood in that slot. At least not that I can tell. It is kind of weird to see no Interrogators in decks like this, but it is the deck list I'm looking at. So this game is really going to depend on how early BashingTwan get on the board with his Awakened Student and his Gerald and Initiator of the Sands, and he's going to try to beat down before PapaCapricorn is able to stabilize with effects like In Cold Blood and his INs. So I think we're ready to get down to the games, or to, well, game number 1 at least. As we're going to take a look from BashingTwan's point of view. PapaCapricorn is going to be on top of your screen in the hand cam. BashingTwan looking at a 1 power hand, stand together, Initiator of the Sands. He doesn't like it. He's going to send it back. Takes a look at a fresh new hand, and I don't know if this is better, but PapaCapricorn does have a depleted Xenon banner on turn number 1, depleted Combray banner for BashingTwan on turn 1. Time Sigil is the play. Temple Scribe on turn 2 for PapaCapricorn. New card coming to his hand is Annihilate. Combray banner is the play from BashingTwan. He's got a very slow start. All his 4 drops with 3, like a 3 drop is to stand together. He's not getting that early start that we had hoped for at top of the broadcast. PapaCapricorn passes the turn. Can't represent IN. Only has 1 Shadow Source, but he does have 2 Annihilate, to Dark Return, and an In Cold Blood in his hand. Power number 3 from BashingTwan is a Justice Sigil. That would likely mean Valkyrie Enforcer comes down, and there it is, the 3/3 flyer. Annihilate at the ready for PapaCapricorn if he chooses to go for it. We'll see how much he cares about killing this right away as opposed to waiting for like a weapon to get put on it. He does choose to Annihilate it right away. He does have another Annihilate to answer the Sandstorm Titan. That might come out next turn if there's an undepleted power. Attack for 1 from the Temple Scribe knocks BashingTwan down to 23. Passes the turn. 4 power at the ready. You can really only use that on Annihilate, though. BashingTwan just has a depleted power, passes the turn back. There's a Xenon Obelisk off the top for PapaCapricorn, and then is able to gain 2 health off of an Amber Waystone. Attack for 2. BashingTwan all the way down to 21 now. I say all the way as if 4 damage is a lot. Combray banner is the play, following up a Venom Rider. Venom Rider gets in for 3. PapaCapricorn down to 25. Annihilate's going to stop the Venom Rider from ultimating next turn, which means Temple Scribe will survive for a whole another turn as Blistersting Wasp comes down as a 2/4. Due to progress, the draw from BashingTwan. He can play another Venom Rider here if he wants to try to trade with a Blistersting Wasp. He can also just play a Sandstorm Titan as a way to try to gum up the ground and hold off this little bit of an assault. It does go with the Venom Rider. Makes a lot of sense. Next turn, he's able to play the Sandstorm Titan and hold up Stand Together, which means it should be safe from removal spells like Annihilate and In Cold Blood. PapaCapricorn draws for turn. Still only has the 1 Shadow. In Cold Blood not actually turned on quite yet. He needs a 2nd Shadow for that. As the Annihilate does answer Sandstorm Titan, and down to 15 falls BashingTwan. Valkyrie Enforcer the draw. Justice Sigil to play. We do see a Valkyrie Enforcer. That's going to silence the Blistersting Wasp. No more flying deadly units from that side of the board. Sandstorm Titan as well. PapaCapricorn draws for a turn. It's a Xenon Initiation. You can use that on the Blistersting Wasp if he wants to take care of the 3/3 Valkyrie Enforcer. Alternatively, he may not have any other options available. His Void is just 3 Annihilates. Can't play Dark Return. Venom Rider is the draw for BashingTwan. He goes ahead, plays that, attacks for a total of 11 damage. Decides he wants to get aggressive now. That a bit of a value block on the Valkyrie Enforcer as he's going to bounce off of the Blister-Sting Wasp. We do have the Stand Together, which does end up killing Blister-Sting Wasp, killing Temple Scribe, knocking PapaCapricorn down to 21. We've got 3 Aegis units on the side of the Combray aggro player. Dawnwalker the pickup and the play for PapaCapricorn on this turn. It's got the Zen Initiation. That's going to be able to answer one of these Aegis units. But it looks like BashingTwan is still going to knock PapaCapricorn down to 11 this turn. Hammer of Might can come down on one of the Aegis units this turn. He chooses to do that. Warcry 3 on top of BashingTwan's deck as PapaCapricorn falls down to 8. He's got to find something good here. That's an undepleted power. That's good enough for In Cold Blood. It's also good enough for Predatory Carnosaur, whichever one he wants to do. Carnosaur is not ideal. It's pretty much just chumping a 9/10. But it's something. In Cold Blood, well, that killer is not very helpful. As nothing here has endurance. All Central Titan has to do is get clicked on and then attack, and that's going to end this game as PapaCapricorn does fall down to -3. And that's going to be game number 1. BashingTwan is up a game against Xenon mid-range. As we take a look at the sideboards of both of these players, the Combray aggro player, though, person up 1-0, has got 3 copies of Protect, a 4th copy of Stand Together to supplement the 3 in the main deck, 3 copies of Auric Runehammer, 3 Copper Hall Elites, 1 Sandstorm Titan, because he only has 3 in the main deck, which should have been mentioned at the top of the round, and 4 Xenon Obelisks. The Xenon Obelisks may want to come in just to kind of try to keep up with what the Xenon deck is doing. Other than that, if he wants some Protects to try to deal with these Annihilates and things like that, that's a card he can bring in. As well as like Runehammers if he wants to try to slow the game down a little bit and try to play more of a value game. Copper Hall Elites also happens to be very, very good against cards like Annihilate and even In Cold Blood with its built-in Aegis effect. On PapaCapricorn's side, he's got 2 copies of Disjunction, 3 Banishes, 3 Devastating Setbacks, 3 Devoted Theurge, 2 Azindel's Gifts, 2 Sabotages. For this round, the Banishes seem very well positioned. They answer a lot of what the aggressive deck is trying to do, and they do potentially 2-for-1 post, like getting a weapon placed on a unit. So they kind of supplement your Annihilates in that way. Other than that, though, Disjunction is probably not a card he's super excited to bring in. Devastating Setback is probably not a card he's too eager about. The Devoted Theurge is a decent enough 4-drop. It does check the Copper Hall Elites if he expects them to come in, but it's not particularly useful against Sandstorm Titan. It can trade with Venom Rider as well if that's a route he wants to take. The Azindel's Gift is not for this matchup. Sabotage he can bring in. That's if he's worried about like Xenon Obelisks and Stand Togethers, then Sabotage is a card he wants to bring in. If he says, I can beat those cards, then he probably just leaves it in the board for now. My guess is he's probably going to bring in a couple of Sabotages that he's got. But yeah, game number 1, Combray aggro did not have the aggressive start that you would normally expect. Like, if I told you Combray aggro won a game, you would probably think that they had like turn 2 Awakened Student, turn 3 like Sear Off or Record Keeper, and just kind of beat face and then held up Stand Together for the rest of the game and killed you. That's not what happened there. He didn't actually make a play until turn 3. It got killed. He played a turn 4 play. Or turn 5 play. That also got killed. His turn 6 play also got killed, and eventually his opponent ran out of Annihilates, and he was able to beat face with Sandstorm Titans. Whereas the Xenon deck just kind of ran out of gas. The lack of Arc Interrogators was a kind of noticeable there, as it never would have gotten silenced or killed. It's not like the Combray deck drew any silences or kill spells to deal with it. It just would have drawn a whole bunch of cards and potentially kept him in that game. It just unfortunately did not happen that way because he doesn't have any copies in his deck. But he also was stuck on power for a little bit, stuck on influence. He didn't have a second shadow for the In Cold Blood. He didn't have the 6th power for the Predatory Carnosaur, so that also kind of kept him behind for the majority of that game. It was really tough for him to keep up once the Combray deck was able to play threat after threat after threat for 3 turns in a row and close the game out that way. So players are still sideboarding. It would be kind of fun to have a look in at what they were sideboarding, but without in-game support of that, it's kind of tough to make that work. But it would be cool to see what these players are thinking as they are making their sideboarding decisions. So take a look at kind of want to take a look at this Xenon deck a little bit more. The 4 copies of In Cold Blood. In Cold Blood is a very good card, and it's also good in this matchup, right? If you're able to take out every copy of Awakened Student in your opponent's deck, or every copy of what are the Justice units? Sometimes Valkyrie Enforcer can be a pretty big deal. Unseen Commando is actually in this deck. Arc Record Keeper. Lots of cards are important to the Comber strategy, and a lot of them are Justice. The only exceptions are Initiate of the Sands, Sandstorm Titan, and Venom Rider. Because even post-board, you bring in the Copper Hall Elite, that can still get answered by In Cold Blood very, very well. All right, so we are ready for game number 2 as players are drawing their opening hands. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. PapaCapricorn has a very good Xenon hand. He's got a 4 power. He's got all his influence. He has 2 Ions and a Vara's Choice. However, BashingTwan also a pretty good hand. If he can pick up a 3rd power, he's going to be in excellent shape. 2 Awakened Students can just get out of hand. He does need to find the power for them. As undepleted power turn 2 from PapaCapricorn is going to take a look at Sandstorm Titan, Unseen Commando, and a couple of Awakened Students. Unseen Commando will get silenced and discarded as Awakened Student is the turn 2 play. Doesn't have the 3rd power quite yet. Really hoping not to get stuck on 2. Xenon Banner from PapaCapricorn and a pass. And this is not what BashingTwan wants to see, as he just attacks for a lowly 2 on turn 3. Plays a 2nd Awakened Student. Seed of Mystery, the play. We are able to hold up IN this turn, and it's going to be able to blow out this attack. BashingTwan might just give up this game right here, and no one would really blame him. As IN comes down, gains 3 health, kills an Awakened Student. Draw for turn is an Amethyst Monument. That's going to transform into a 4/4 Puma, recently buffed. BashingTwan, not a power. IN is the end of turn play from PapaCapricorn. Draw for turn is a Dawnwalker. The INs are going to start coming in. Attack for 3, gain 3. Up to 27 goes the Xenon player. We finally hit a power. That's a start. Justice Sigil is really the power he wants to, right? Because it's able to facilitate a Valkyrie Enforcer to answer this Dawnwalker permanently. Well, semi-permanently. Still has to actually die for the silence to actually matter, but we'll see how this works out. The attacks come in. BashingTwan has to decide if he wants to play for the longer game, and he chooses to not block. He could have just made a couple of trades, but then he would have no board against a Dawnwalker. Vanquish the draw. Vanquish a pretty good draw here. Decisions from BashingTwan here. If he wants to hold up Stand Together and try to blow out an attack, like eat the 2 Ions and take 9, or just vanquish the 5/5, he does choose to go with the Stand Together, try to save his dudes as PapaCapricorn picks up a Temple Scribe. The attack is being made. He's holding back his Reinarch. No, he's not. He says, I'm sending the kitchen sink. Blocks get made. Stand Together comes down. As we do see a disjunction in PapaCapricorn's hand. I guess he is worried about weapons, so I guess his plan is to kill some weapons with that. It's not ideal in this matchup, but if you have the start like he had, it doesn't really matter. The INs kind of carried him this game, and BashingTwan being stuck on power was not helpful either. Draws with the Temple Scribe. It's an Annihilate. Pass the turn back. We've got a 4/4 Arc Record Keeper, and BashingTwan isn't out of it yet. Vanquish takes care of the Reinarch. Can't really attack here. Chooses not to. PapaCapricorn can send the Dawnwalker to trade, like force a trade with one of these 4/4s. We'll probably see the Awakened Student bite the dust here. Nope, there goes the Flyer. Oh, he sent in the Temple Scribe as well. Interesting, trying to maybe trick BashingTwan into making a poor block. Record Keeper is the play from BashingTwan. Pass the turn back to PapaCapricorn. PapaCapricorn is 1 power shy of being able to play this Carnosaur and blow this game completely open. But at the moment, BashingTwan does have a decent enough double block on that Sandstorm Titan. which is going to leave Twan with a 4-4 in play versus an empty board from the Xenon player. There is the double block. No real way to blow this out either. Annihilate is just uncastable because there's no mono faction units on the board. Dawnwalker is the follow-up here. Dawnwatch Paladin is the play. We can see the Record Keeper trade with a Dawnwalker to prevent any damage from coming across. BashingTwan doing his best job of trying to hold on in this one. Stuck at 3 health, and you know, he's very likely, at this point, he is just dead to the Carnosaur in hand. It's going to come down, kill the 4-4, and that's going to mean the overwhelm damage from Dawnwalker would kill BashingTwan, but still no 6th power, as Record Keeper does buff up the Crown Watch Paladin, becomes a 3-2. Blister Sting Wasp is the play here. And Venom Rider comes down. We don't have a flyer to save us from the Blister Sting Wasp, which means this game will end in 3 turns unless we can pick up a undepleted time source for the Sandstorm Titan. Vara's Choice is the draw, and so that means even, I guess Titan won't even save it with the Annihilate in hand. But now Vara's Choice is going to come down, take away one of the Titans. Basically Venom Rider instead. All right, down to 1. The Combray player is going to fall. BashingTwan will get a couple of War Cries, though. Attack for a total of 3 damage. Down to 37 falls PapaCapricorn. In Cold Blood is the draw. Actually castable this time. Not in a great spot, though. It can kill the Awakened Student. We've already seen a couple of them, so it's really just going to trade 1 for 1, which is probably not the worst case scenario. Stand Together is the draw, and that's not going to do it. Sandstorm Titan cannot come down. Even if it could, it would be killed. And we're going to see an attack for 5, and likely we'll attack for 7, and likely a concession here from BashingTwan as he's just dead on board and can't do anything about it. There's the attack. And down to 0 falls BashingTwan. That's going to tie this match up 1 game apiece. We're going to head to game number 3 as the Xenon mid-range deck is able to punish the power-stuck Combray aggro player. So we'll see if they want to change up their sideboarding plans. It's not like BashingTwan really got to see much out of his deck that game. He was just stuck on power and couldn't do anything. The cards that were in his hand would have been fine. The Sandstorm Titans, the Obelisk. He was just didn't have a chance to play them before he was dead. So we did see, which sideboard cards did we see out of the Xenon mid-range deck? We saw the Disjunction. And I think that's the only sideboarded card that we saw, and I'm not entirely sure that he wants to keep that in. It didn't do anything that game. I'm not sure it really would have. There was a there was an Inquisitor's Blade in the Combray hand, but again, it would have been blocked by the Aegis on the Crown Watch Paladin, so it still would have had a hard time actually accomplishing too much. It would have popped an Aegis for the Annihilate, I guess. That would have worked also. So now we're just waiting for game number 3 to get underway between it is Xenon mid-range. I'm kind of tempted to call it Xenon Control, but that's not what it is. It's just a little bit bigger than normal Xenon mid-range, but it's definitely not trying to control anything. It's got the Carnosaurs, it's got the Obelisks. It's a mid-range deck to its core. Combray deck is a deck that we haven't seen too much of in the first couple of weeks since the new campaign came out, and I don't know why I can't think of the name of that campaign, but either way, it's not a deck we've seen too much of. We knew what Gerald did. We knew what a lot of these cards did. It's just hard to find the right deck to put these in. We're going to see if BashingTwan did find that deck. Looks like we are in game, although I have a really poor view of BashingTwan's hand. It looks like there was a glitch on my end, so I'm going to jump out of this game and try to redo it. Whereas I can still take a look at PapaCapricorn's hand as he is facing down a turn 2 Awakened Student from the Combray player. Got a depleted power of his own on turn 2. It's a Xenon banner. So BashingTwan, with the power this game, he has the power attacks for 3. Down to 22 goes PapaCapricorn, Crown Spot. And this is the draw that BashingTwan wants, right? He's got his 2-drop. He's got another 2-drop. He's going to follow up with his choice of 4 drops. IN being represented by PapaCapricorn, we know he has it. We're going to see if BashingTwan respects that possibility and doesn't attack with the Crown Watch Paladin, and smartly chooses to play around the represented IN, as it's not able to come down and eat the Crown Watch Paladin. It is able to trade with a Venom Rider, but I think BashingTwan is okay with that trade. BashingTwan, 4th power, doesn't have a 2nd time. He does have a Vara's Favor. He's going to pop an Aegis there, and unfortunately, it looks like this game might just be decided by a lack of influence, as PapaCapricorn has a whole lot of double time cards in his hand and only 1 time in play, and he's just all the way down to 14 already without a chance to really play any cards. Annihilates the draw. He does have an answer to the Crown Watch Paladin. He plays it on his own turn to play around Stand Together. Well timed, as there obviously is a Stand Together in BashingTwan's hand. Just essential to play. This is an attack for 10. PapaCapricorn is at 4, facing down 2 lethal threats. If anything touches him ever again, this game will end. Obelisk is not a very good blocker, and we're going to see the game come to a very, very swift end on turn 7, as the Combray deck, Stand Together, is going to attack for 12. His opponent's only at 4. Sandstorm Titan to play. We're going to see him vanquish his own Sandstorm. We are going to see him vanquish his own Sandstorm, his own 5/5, even better. Attack for 7, and that's going to do it. BashingTwan takes care of PapaCapricorn. Combray aggro wins 2 games to 1 over Xenon midrange. But really, that was just Power Screw won that game match 2-1, if we're being entirely honest. Yeah, that 3rd game was indicative of what the Combray deck wants to do. It wants to get on the board right away, right? It wants to get 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, hold up, Stand Together. In this case, it was 2-drop, 2-drop, 4-drop, but still held up, Stand Together, and was able to punish the opponent from for stumbling a bit on his influence. Only a 2-color deck, but every once in a while, your 2-color deck still betrays you. So I know we're looking for a backup match. Hopefully, we can get into something. There are definitely a couple matches still going on. But yeah, I know so I do want to talk a little bit more about the Combray deck if we have time. I know we are finding a backup match at the moment, but I do want to talk a little bit more about this Combray deck. The Venom Rider has been kind of a polarizing card. Venom Rider is a card that some people are like, oh, this card's very good. It's charge, it's deadly, it can kill something if you're able to power up with it on the following turn. It's very, very, very strong card. There are people like, well, it's a 3/3 for 4. I don't really want to play this. What do I need charge for? 3/3 is kind of is too small. Why do I want, and like all these things about it. But there are times where you're playing an aggressive deck and just playing a charge unit on turn 4 when your opponent is like only able to deal with 1 guy that you probably played on turn 2 is it can do a lot of work, and we saw it that game, and we saw it actually that match. In game number 1, he was able to attack with it as well. So, are we in game is the question, as it looks like we are jumping into... No? Well, we're going to go to Kamado versus Vampus. Seems to be the plan. Hopefully I can find this match. Do I have a... Okay, so we are jumping in. I'm not able to get a good look at Vampus's hand, but I am able to look at Kamado's. And Kamado, the same issue we just saw last game, stuck on 5, or not last game, but in game number 1, stuck on 5 with a couple Carnosaurs in hand in his Xenon midrange deck. See if I can get Vampus on my friends list. Do a little bit of actual back and forth. Oh, okay. I just tried to, and it just said this person does not exist. So I guess I screwed something up. Finest Hour, the blowout on the Killer Blister Sting Wasp. Not quite a blowout, but it is it is still a trade 2-for-1. Down to 10, Kamado is going to fall. Really looking for that power. He's a little bit behind on board right now. Arc Interrogator the draw. That's going to draw him a new card. And he's also able to use the Zenith Initiation to Killer the 4/4 flyer. Draws a card. It's an In Cold Blood. All right. Kamado potentially able to climb back into this one. Sorry about that. No, I cannot add Vampus as much as I would like to. So this attack's going to come in. Looks like the game's going to come to a close anyway. Kamado does drop. Is that game number 3? I do wonder. Game number 3. Yep. So Vampus is actually going to take that 2-1 over Kamado. As we were able to just catch the last little bit of that one. It's probably going to be the last featured match that we're going to have for round number 2. Do want confirmation on that. It looks like we're actually going to get a second person in the booth for next round too. We're going to see Kirby jump in. A lot of people may be familiar with him, and another card he may or may not like called Scrap Tank. So it's going to be a lot of fun talking to Kirby in the next round. But for right now, we are going to take a quick break. But before we do, I do want to talk to you guys a little bit about the ETS. The ETS is the tournament you're watching right now. We run it every Saturday. It's free to enter. All you have to do is go to aReNGeeternal.com/ETS, or you can check us out on the official Eternal Discord. There's a tournament section. All you have to do is head on over there, and there's a sign-up link and a lot of information on that. We're doing 4 seasons this year. At the end of each season, there's a 2-day invitational. That's the 32 best players from the season are going to get together for a 2-day tournament with a couple special rules and actual prize money on the line. Invitationals are always a lot of fun, a lot of high-level play. We're just coming off of one from 2 weeks ago in which Argenport Midrange took down the entire invitational in the hands of Tony G. And there were 3 copies of Argenport Midrange in the top 4, so obviously a very powerful deck that's been well represented today. I'm not quite sure how it's doing. I don't have the numbers on that quite yet. Next invitational is going to be at the beginning of June, though. First Saturday and Sunday in June, we're going to see our next invitational. So if you want to qualify for that, jump on into the Eternal Tournament Series every Saturday. The best players from the invitationals will get together for the annual championship. That's our world championship. That's got a $3,000 prize pool. And that's the highest level of Eternal you can possibly get. We had a lot of fun doing it last year. We're going to do it again this year. And all you have to do, like I said, just sign up for a tournament. It's free to enter any Saturday you want, and start your path towards the World Championship today. So you can get your full calendar, full information on how to register and how to sign up for that at aReNGeeternal.com/ETS. And that's going to do it for round number 2 as we come back. Round number 3, joined by Kirby. In the meantime, enjoy a couple of deck techs. See you guys later.